Hey friend, welcome to my podcast, The Fit Soul. I'm your host, Amy Ramsey. In this podcast, we will be discussing soul-filled strategies to unleash your confidence, increase your energy, and all the things healthy lifestyle. If you're a Christian woman who is ready to reach your God-given potential, walk worthy of your calling with abundant joy and energy, girlfriend, you are in the right spot. I mean, you only have one life to live. You might as well maximize it. Buckle in, and thanks for listening. Hello, and welcome back to the Fit Soul podcast. I'm so excited you're here, and I'm so excited about a conversation I'm having with a new friend of mine. And I'll just go ahead and introduce you, Tamela Davis. Welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh my goodness. So we have a mutual friend, Joy Bradford.
Mm-hmm.
I love Joy. Like love, little sister. I want to be adopted into their family. Love her mother, cousins, the whole nine. Like I love them. And so
I know.
she's amazing. And
Joy's easy to love, right? Joy's so easy to love.
she's a gift. She really is a gift.
She really is. She
Yeah.
really, really
Yeah.
is. I
Okay.
love her so much.
And so you and Joy are friends, and we're going to share a
Mhm.
lot about your story and who you are. So let me read your bio just because this is pretty impressive. So Tamela Gill Davis is a devoted humanitarian, a certified life coach, still accepting clients. You guys, looking for a life.
Yes.
A little plug there for you. She's a homeschooling mother of six
Six
kids.
little people.
Six little people. And listen, we're going to talk about that photo shoot that y'all just had. Maybe it's not. I'm obsessed with the denim and the baby and all the things. We'll talk about that as well. She's a motivational speaker and the creative force behind the F Word blog, which makes me laugh out loud. Tea with Tamela's podcast, Tamela's Tailgate Treat Food Truck. And alongside her husband, NFL player Demario Davis, she co-founded the Devoted Dreamers Foundation to empower youth and foster leadership. They've been married since 2012 with 6 children between Nashville and New Orleans. Her mission blends faith, authenticity, personal storytelling to uplift others through community, faith, and hope. Girl, that's exciting. There's so much there to unpack in all that you do. You are truly amazing. What a gift you are. So
Thank
welcome.
you.
Okay, so you grew up in Mississippi. Joy's from Mississippi. I live in Mississippi. That's the whole Mississippi connection. And anybody
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Louisiana. I don't know if you know that or not. I'm a Louisiana girl.
No.
Yeah. So Monroe originally, my parents lived down in New Orleans for many, many years, and huge fan.
Wow.
And so lots of different connections here. But you grew up in small town Mississippi with limited resources.
Small town, Mississippi. Small town, actually. Uh-oh, my AirPod popped out. Mississippi girl, Walnut Grove. We don't have a grocery store or a red light.
Where is Walnut Grove? I don't even know.
Most people don't know where Walnut Grove is. Like, you don't go there unless you actually have a reason. Almost everybody there is born and raised. Super cute little town. We always say we're a small town with a big heart. And so it's right in between Carthage and Forest, Mississippi. I don't know if you've heard of either one of them. You've heard of Forest? So we're just sandwiched right in between Carthage and Forest. We're about an hour outside of Jackson. So for all of our shopping malls, bigger purchase items, we always had to drive to Jackson Airport, obviously. So Jackson was like a 10-minute drive that was actually an hour because we knew, if we were going to do anything big, we had to come out to Jackson.
That is awesome. Okay, so how did those early experiences living in small town Mississippi shape your heart for young people and prepare you for all of the work that you're doing today?
Growing up, I think in a small town in Mississippi, at a very young age, there's a lot of like shaping and molding that's actually happening. There aren't a ton of opportunities to go out and, do all the things you would do in like a bigger city. And so there's a lot of intentionality around the rearing. I think there's a lot that you learn that you're passionate about. There's a lot that you're able to determine about I always like to say who you want to become and who you don't want to become at the same time. And so as I kind of navigated my journey there, I loved sitting at the feet of the elders. I just always felt like that there was so much wisdom there. There were so many questions that I could ask. There were so many intentional conversations. And from that, mentally, I started to take notes. In my heart, I started to prepare myself for all of what I felt was possible. And I didn't want to limit myself to just my small town. I'm like, you know what? I feel like I can impact my small town, but there is also the opportunity to dream so much bigger. And so from there, I began to dream. And when I started to dream, I realized that the world was also so much bigger than myself. So I'm like, as I'm dreaming, how do I incorporate other people in that dream? How do I have intentionality around how I create a lasting impact and legacy and find intentional ways to really be able to serve and to come back and to do that in whatever city the Lord leads me to whatever community and people. And so I think that's a lot of what was just kind of like cultivated in me as I grew up in that small town and as I really began to do a self evaluation in midst of also having a lot of those intentional conversations with my grandmothers and my aunties and them kind of like champion and listening to me. I think that's big, listening to your children and helping direct them down the path that seems the most fruitful for them.
That's so refreshing to hear everything that you just said, and it's almost uncommon to me. So I just want to ask another question around that. Your aunties, your grandmother, elders, mentors, people poured into you in a small town, and often in a small town, particularly in Mississippi, you'll understand this. If people aren't from Mississippi, I don't know that they fully can understand this. A lot of Mississippians are born and raised. They've never left. They've
Mm-hmm.
all they know. And a lot of other
Mm-hmm.
states are more transient. People are coming and going. So there's a little bit of a diversity that's not as prevalent here in Mississippi, right? So,
Right.
um, small town, and when we think of small town, we often think we don't think of dreaming big and large, like
Mm-hmm.
accomplish this. Was it your mentors, your aunts, your grandmother, your family that helped you to dream bigger and outside the box and outside of small town?
So I think it was a combination of things. So most kids in Mississippi, they're running outside, they're drinking out of the water hose, they're doing all of these different things. And I was never big on, being outside. I never really liked being around my peers a ton. For whatever reason, I was just kind of drawn to, sitting at their feet in that wisdom. But then also, there's a lot of TV watching that's taking place in Mississippi as well. When you're like, oh, like what else do I do? I guess I watch a show. And so, in being in the house with a lot of those adults, it led me to watching a lot of shows. Now that I think back on it, I'm like, oh, probably shouldn't have been watching Oprah at 5, but whatever. And so, as I'm watching a lot of those shows, I'm a person who like loves to absorb knowledge. And so, I studied those things that were being communicated. Studied the things that were that those characters were experiencing, so I think it was a combination of seeing something different on a TV screen, having those conversations, and then pairing all of that information that I'd either watched, that I'd heard. And then, people were only able to encourage me as far as their lived experiences would allow. But I think in that, there's the discerning and the wisdom that they give. There's also the encouragement that they give. There's the hesitancy that they give. And then you just have to know how to take it all in and then how to kind of sift through it. And so it was a combination of those things where they were definitely pouring into me with all that they had, all that they had experienced. But then also I watched a lot of TV, and like even when I watch TV today, it's hard for me to watch idle TV because I'm so strategic in getting involved of what's taking place, what's the history, what's the backstory. So I become like very investigative into whatever's taking place. I'm super analytical, and so I think that helps me too. But in that, it really taught me so much. And I knew at a very early age, I'm like, I feel like I'm being called for somewhere bigger than Mississippi. And then at another age in my life, I felt like it was New York City. And the funny thing is, we ended up in Jersey right after we got married. And so it was like I saw that vision so much earlier, not fully of what all we would be doing, but I just see the connectors of like God planting things and watering them along the years to lead me down whatever path that was that he had.
So when you say you've were dreaming and thinking bigger, watching the shows, having the mentors, and you were it sounded more expanded. What
Hmm.
age? Like a little girl? You thought this as a little girl, or was it when you were a little bit older? How did that come about, especially to have the vision to, well, move forward? And so answer that, and then we'll move into college and where that.
You know what? I was super, super little. Like I can remember back in my life as far as 3. I have like very short memories of like the age 3. I would say probably by the time that I was like kindergarten, first grade, I started to plan my life. Now, certain things changed obviously across the years as I began to have more experiences and exposure to certain things, but I started to dream about what my life would look like, and it was always so much bigger than where I was, and I don't know what that was like just really birthed inside of me, because most of my town, like everybody's born and raised there, and very few people leave, and if they do leave, they go to Jackson, you know. And so with that, I was just like bursting out of the seams where I'm like, there's something bigger, and I didn't even always know how to communicate it. But I think year by year, I just started to add certain things, edit certain things. And, you know, again, the older you get, the more experiences, the more you're able to absorb the information that you're actually taking in from the mentors, the more you're able to absorb what's happening on TV. Some of those things change. But I always like to say that you're never too young or too old to dream, and being able to edit whatever that dream is, but not putting limitations on what the dream is.
Yeah, no, that's so good. That's so good. Okay, so tell us a little bit about you and Demario, how you met, and sounds like it was a good fit for your big dreaming heart. You didn't know that was going to be your story, obvious. I would.
Oh my gosh, no, I didn't dream that big for sure. I mean, I was a big dreamer for someone coming from a small town in Mississippi, but I never dared to dream, you know, like beyond certain limits. And so I think I even put limitations on my dreams, and I'm learning even today to not do that. Um Actually leaving that small town in Mississippi, I almost went to college, undergrad at Jackson State, and about 2 weeks before school started, I was like, I feel like I'm supposed to go somewhere else. And I didn't know what that was looking like. And then one of my aunties, she was like, what other schools are recruiting you? Well, there was a small HBCU in Holly Springs, Mississippi, called Russ College. And I'm like, there's a school called Russ College. I've never been there, but it seemed pretty cool. So she knew some people there. We hopped in a car, went there. I got a scholarship on spot. And I, 2 weeks before school started, decided that I was no longer going to go to Jackson State, that I was going to go to Russ. Well, long story short, from there, go to Russ. I finished my undergrad degree. And there are a couple of relationships that Russ have with transitioning some of their students to graduate school, because we don't have a graduate program because we're a small college. And so the Ohio State was one of the schools, and I'd gotten a scholarship to the Ohio State, had gotten accepted in, and was on my path of thinking, you know, I'm going to go to the Ohio State. And then at some point, with talking to different people, with probably a little bit of my own fear and doubt, decided to decline that opportunity. And I was back in Mississippi for a little bit. I was working at a school. I was going to a teacher certification program at Belhaven. And then I started to literally get sick to my stomach, feeling like that there was something different that I was supposed to be doing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like what's happening? And so I would come home from work, and I always worked 2 jobs. And as I would get ready to turn to the left to go to my job, there was a sign in front of me that would say, welcome to Walnut Grove. And I would almost get nauseous. I'm like, why am I getting nauseous? Like, I've been here my whole life. But that was just like God kind of disrupting the comfort that I was starting to develop, because I felt like he needed to launch me somewhere else so that he could have his way with his own plan for me. And so from there, I started researching different schools that were affiliated with my undergrad. And I had a couple friends who were at Arkansas State, but there was a feeder program where most of the students who left our undergrad program to go to Arkansas State for graduate school were all mass communications major. I was an English lit major. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know if this is going to work. Like, they kind of have this feeder system. I'm going to be stepping outside of the box. Like, what does this look like? And one of my line sisters was there and she was like, just do it, just come. And I'm like, you know what? Just do it. Like, just come. Like, you can always go back home. And
Yeah.
so December, I put in a letter of resignation from my job, both of my jobs. I told them that I was going to be moving to Arkansas in January. And my parents were like frantic. They were like, what? You've never even been to Arkansas? And I'm like, I just feel it. I feel like I'm supposed to leave. I feel like I'm supposed to go. It was so funny. I just bought myself a graduation gift of a new car, and I was quitting my job to go to Arkansas State for grad school. They're like, how are you going to pay for your car and apartment? You don't have a job. I'm like, you know what? They'll have to pick up the car in Arkansas. At least I'll get there. And so it was just one of those things where I was somewhat rebelling against the system because, a person being super strategic and type A, like I really didn't have a full plan other than I was going to get there and I was going to figure it out. And so I drove my car down to Arkansas. I unpacked. And about 2 weeks later, I was like torn. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have done this. Don't have a job. What am I doing? Blah, blah, blah. And then I meet Demario. And I met Demario in a medieval literature class that he was not supposed to be in. Mind you, I'm an English lit major. He was like a mass comm major. And he was in his senior year of undergrad and realized that he had a couple of additional liberal arts classes that he needed to take, and he had actually signed up for American Romanticism or something like that. And the class got dropped because they didn't have enough students. And so, with that, there was a combined class with grad students and undergrad students. And he was in that class. And that's where we met, medieval literature class. And we were talking one day after class and realized we were both from Mississippi. We both kind of had similar interests, that we'd probably been in the same locations at the same time, just kind of talking about different experiences. Because remember, I had to go to Jackson for a battle of the band or anything big. And so it was like, oh, I was at that, or I was at that. It was like, oh, we've probably been in the same vicinity at some point. And the rest was really history after that. I mean, we developed a super unique friendship that was super cool. And from there, we weren't sure if we wanted to date or not. But one thing led to another, and here we are.
Here we are. How many years have y'all been married?
We have been married 13 years.
Oh, okay, great. That's
Yep.
awesome. All right, my husband and I are we're celebrating our 13th this year.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you and Demario, I love that you shared with your how you just dreamed. You dreamed bigger, not a typical Mississippi girl in a small town. God just placed a bigger desire on your heart. And so Demario is NFL. How long has he been playing with the Saints?
So he's been with the Saints for 8 years. He's been in the NFL for 14 years now.
Okay, okay. And in the last 13 years, y'all have had 6 children.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when is this? Okay, I'm seeing on your social media um, the most adorable photos I've ever seen in my life. Those photos are fire, the little videos, the reels, all this stuff that y'all are doing.
Thank
So
you.
cute. How long ago was that? Was that recent?
You know what? That was actually a week ago. That was a
Oh,
week
okay, cool.
ago.
Yeah.
We were getting ready. So Demario's already down in New Orleans in training camp. And the kids and I were back in Nashville because we spent our off seasons in Nashville. And I was like, I want to get like some quick photos, like for social media and like some projects that I had coming up. And I'm like, do I wait? Do I do them in New Orleans? Then we have a photographer that we use out of LA who usually comes in. And my team was like, look, we got a photographer. Let's just do him. So we did that photo shoot probably 2 hours before we had to leave to go to the airport to fly out to New Orleans. So it was kind of a last
Got
minute
a little bit of
thing.
anxiety hearing you did that and you flew. Oh, like seriously.
Oh,
You're
we
making
did
happen
that.
now. I like it.
Oh yeah, we make things happen from time to time, and I have an amazing chief of staff who just creates so much magic. And so she found the team. They came out. We did some video content. We did some photos, and then we literally had the Ubers backing in to pick us up to take all six. It was myself, the six kids, my parents, my sister, I think it was two other adults. Yes, two other adults who were coming with us from Nashville, and two puppies. And we all loaded the car after that and ran to the airport.
You're amazing. You're amazing. In getting to know you and to see how many different places that you're serving, that you're leading, that you're contributing, that you're giving back. You've got so many things going on in just a really busy phase of life in motherhood. And there's a lot of eyes on you and Demario just with the position that you're in. And there's so much humility and authenticity that you have, and you seem so grounded still in the Lord and your kingdom purpose and what you guys are doing. And I just, I see that. I see you. It's beautiful. It's beautiful to watch. Can you share with us maybe some of the struggles that come along with being in such a spotlight? And is there pressure with that?
If you are looking for a faith fueled, science backed system and you want to achieve your goals, build momentum, and unlock the next level of success and growth in your life, I would love to work with you in my high performance coaching. I want you to know that you can achieve more in the next 90 days than people do in an entire year. And I would love to help you gain clarity about your calling, help you create the strategy and structure to help end the overwhelm and follow through on those actions that matter the most. Achieve the goals that maybe you've been procrastinating on or just haven't set time to do. I'm telling you, I would love to help you with this. This is what we do with high performance coaching. It's not about more information. You don't need more information. It's about implementation. It's about action. It's about getting going, getting moving. And if you want some help, some structure, some support, some accountability, I am a certified high performance coach and I am a life and leadership strategist, and I would love to partner with you. You can check the show notes. You can book a call with me or hit me up on the DMs and let's have a little conversation and see if we are a good fit for each other. And I just want to say this. If you've never worked with a coach one-on-one, it's pretty life-changing. That I contribute a lot of the success that I've had is because I've made investments in getting the right mentors, the right coaches that help challenge me and champion me to move further, faster. Okay, back to the show.
Yes. I mean, thank you for saying all of that, just because none of that is easy. So I always like to start there because I think sometimes people look from the outside inward and they think because you have a certain amount of resources or you have a certain peer group that you're around all the time, that it's easy to navigate those things. And it's hard for people to see the challenges that come day after day where you have to make an active decision of who are you going to be, who are you not going to be? What principles are you going to remain grounded in? And it starts kind of with that foundation. And I think something that was so unique for us was we were both walking on our spiritual journey before, all of the things that took place with the NFL. And so we had a plan for what we wanted our lives to look like if we had the opportunity to transition into this. And so we really look at it like a mission field. And that's not to say that we didn't make any mistakes, that, things went according to how we planned it. But the biggest thing is when you fall, do you get up? Do you dust yourself off? Do you continue to try again? And I can recall it was our first year in New York. And New York is really a challenging place to start to be thrown into all of this. Just because when you're coming from a small town, we're two Mississippi kids, we're coming from Arkansas, we're being thrown into the limelight and into a big city at the same time. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. And I always love when they say, if you can make it here, you can make it in anywhere. And I hold true to that just because when you look at a place like New York, which is beautiful and has endless opportunities, there's also a lot of pressure. There's a lot of networking that takes place where, when people meet you, the first thing they ask is, what do you do? There's a lot of people who are, after something. There's a lot, there's the fashion headquarters. There's all these different things that's competing for you to buy into it. And then you take that to having a professional team. And then there are all these stereotypes that's associated with being involved in this arena. And so, with that, a lot of people feel like they have to transition, they have to compromise who they are in order to fit into whatever those stereotypes or preconceived notions may be. And so you find yourself saying yes to a lot of things that you might not would have. I think another thing that you see is my theory is unique opportunities like this kind of make you more of who you already are. So it exposes a lot of that. And so if you're a crappy person, then you're just going to be an even bigger crappy person. If you're, so that's another thing that I say about a lot of it as well. But I think another thing, I remember being at a game specifically, and again, it was our first year, and I saw multiple things take place where I was like, oh gosh, there's a lot taking place. But I saw someone be mistreated, another wife mistreat another wife. I saw
Like
another person. What's
physical,
that?
or like physically mistreating or verbally or
Verbally, where it's like, whether it's, talking about what somebody is wearing because
okay.
you're not meeting those standards, or, whatever. It was, I call it mistreatment because I'm like, looping it all together. But I saw that take place. I saw a couple be very rude to a fan. I saw, just say, a lot of different things within like a 2 week span. And you know how you talk about, and I think I mentioned it earlier, where you're dreaming of who you want to become, you also have to stop to be able to identify who do you not want to become. And then there were certain things that I myself had even experienced in that short amount of time. And so from that, it then led me to absorbing all of that information and digesting it and being able to have a defining moment where I said, I will not compromise who I am under any circumstances in order to fit into any room. I will not. And I just went through, and before I went to what I would do, I went through all the things that I would not do. And in that, I still go back to that, even because as you're continuing to climb and things are happening fast, it's hard to not reflect on those moments where it's like, I actually kind of want to go this way this time. And it's so I like to keep that at the forefront of my mind. I remember writing that down of like, this is who you will not become. This is what you will not do because this is your foundation. Your foundation is him. Let's start. He put you here and he can take you away from here. How are you viewing this opportunity? I view this opportunity as a mission field. And people hear me say this all the time, but I think a lot of times when we think of missionaries, we're always thinking of people who are going into these very unfortunate situations, these impoverished areas and things of that nature. And you're forgetting that there are people who are on very high playing fields who need missionaries to come and be visible and speak into their life. And so I always looked at this like a mission field. I'm like, Lord, how do I take this opportunity and honor you through each step of it? And then also identify people who I am given permission to speak into my life so that at any moment that they see me operating outside of what I say the founding principles are for not just this arena that I'm in, but for my life holistically, giving them the permission to call me out so that in that I'm reminded that this is so much bigger than me, and God has placed me here for a mission and a purpose, and it's not mine. And so he gives me a megaphone, not a microphone, to be able to do this. But in that, am I willing to make his name greater than my name? And that's just how I've had to navigate being inside of that space and this space. And it's challenging at times because you have to challenge yourself. Or if you make a mistake, you have to be able to go back and apologize and make sure people understand where you stand on certain issues. But it's also understanding that I cannot compromise or sacrifice my faith, my relationship with God, because that's the most important relationship. That's the most important platform. So all of that is not is not up for grabs. And so when you know what's not up for grabs, it makes you a little bit more grounded where you're knowing that you have to fight because the enemy is coming at you every which way and he's not going to turn you loose. And so he always take you further than you ever intend to go. And so the moment you realize that you're taking a step over the line, you better reevaluate and take a step back. And I have to do that day in and day out. And do I do it perfectly? Absolutely not. But I think that's the importance of having accountability. That's the importance of keeping yourself around mentors. That's the importance of being a lifelong learner and positioning yourself to always be coachable.
Okay, mic drop, mic drop. There's so much gold in what you just said. Y'all, you're going to want to rewind. I think on a podcast, it doesn't give you a little 15 seconds. You can go, you're going to want to scoot that back just a little bit because pick up what she put down. I need to unpack just a little bit of that. There's so much humility in what you said. But I love that you were super clear. I don't know if you know this or not, but in the short time we've even started this podcast, you've said 3 times who I want to be and who I don't want to be. You're very clear on the person that you're becoming, and you're very clear on who you're not becoming. And I think that clarity is that first step. I'm a high performance coach. And so that habit of clarity, clarifying over and over and over again,
Hmm.
focus is crucial, so we're going where we want to go and becoming who we want to be. And it's
Yeah. Yeah.
so easy in your position to get a little bit numb to the things of God and the kingdom purpose and the mission that you're on. He's put you on a pedestal and you want to steward that well, clearly. And I love that you said you surrounded yourself with people who you've given permission to call you out. And I have a feeling that they wouldn't be the type to say, oh, I don't want to hurt your feelings or people please or anything. Like they would
Mm.
actually not, they would not do you the disservice. They want to serve you in that capacity. That was rich,
Hmm.
girl. I feel like I just had a buffet and it was good. Oh, that was good.
Oh, thank you. I think that's the biggest part of learning compartmentalization because as you're navigating inside of any space that you're in, but you know, the higher the call and the more spaces that you're having to go in. So in compartmentalizing, I like to call them buckets. And
Mhm.
so because I'm dealing with so many different people, I have to know how to properly bucket those individuals. And so there are some people that I know are going to be yes people. I can't give them that permission to speak into this because they're going to tell me what I want to hear. And I have to take the blinders off to be able to see everything for what it is in that moment and then draft the plan. And then I have to be able to see people who are walking out their own life, walking out their faith in their own life. And from that, it's like, okay, you see me, you see what I say. My family is a priority. My faith is a priority. Making sure that I'm serving my community is a priority. So if you see that those are things that I am attempting to do, and I'm verbalizing, I'm having it, and I had conversations with these people. I sat them down and I said, listen, this is what my foundation is built on. This is how I want to live my life. This is how I want to create legacy. If at any moment that I'm not doing that, I'm giving you because I've been around people who have given me permission or not fully given me permission. And then when I tried to hold them accountable, they swatted me away. And so that was another defining moment for me to invite other people in where I'm like, if at any, I don't care who you have to bring in. If you need to bring in pastors, if you need to bring in therapists, if you need to have an intervention with me, do that at all costs because I know in this moment while I have clarity and my
Yeah.
brain is functioning right, this is what I want to stand on and don't give up on me. And the people that I went to with that were people that I trusted, but people who said yes, but then they also gave me examples of how they were going to do that. And I knew that I had bucketed those people right in that moment.
This is so good. This is so good. I have a lot of respect for you already. But wow, just to hear this, you said when you were a little girl, you sat at a lot of elders' feet. And you can tell it's like you have a mantle of wisdom on you, and that was passed down at such a rich in such a rich way to you to
Hmm.
have this fortitude, this virtue, this character for someone that is so young to start out so young with such a conviction that this is
Mm.
who I am and this is what I represent. In fact, let me put up, I call them God rails. You've got like these really strong God rails in your life, and you're like, I'm not going to ask the yes people. They're not going to, they're going to tell me what I want to hear. And listen, most of us that are listening to this we don't have the limelight on us like you do, right? But still, it's the same principle. There's yes people. I can ask people to be my accountability partner, to
Hmm.
hold me accountable, but I know that if I ask a certain ones, they would never actually do that. They don't have it in them to say,
Right.
"Yeah, girl, let me call you out. Like you need to watch
Hmm.
that." So
Yeah.
just the fact that you've got so much discernment inside of you and wisdom. It's just beautiful to see your spiritual gifts so richly on display in such a big way. It's really exciting, actually.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
girl.
All him, not me.
Oh, girl. Okay, I love this that you and I thought I was the queen of an acronym. I can share this title with you. After going through all of your stuff, I'm like, oh, she's the same. It's good. It's good. I love this. One of your signature programs is built on 5T framework, which is time, talent, treasure, temple, and testimony.
Hmm.
I absolutely love that. Is this what you live by and have taught your children this? Is this like a guiding light
Absolutely.
for you and Demario for your relationship, your marriage, your relationship with God and your children before you even go out into the community?
Absolutely. I think we had to really sit and understand what was a driving force for us individually and collectively. And then when we worked it out individually, we were able to come together to build it out collectively. That then allowed us to expand that to like our home front first. And then in being able to define that this is how we desire to create framework for how we live, then it's like if we're going to be out in the community serving other people, how do we look at this approach and say, I think for us, it's like one of those things where it's like, how do you create a holistic approach where you see the whole individual and you not just compartment? Like compartmentalization is good, but it's only good when you know when and when not to use it. And in so many different environments, we teach people to work on one part of themselves. So it's like, oh, let's just work on this part and let's work on that part, which is good. Like all of the parts need to be worked on. However, we're a whole being. And so if we work on this and not that, then we're kind of doing ourselves a disservice. We're doing a disservice to other people. And so it's like, how do you see the whole individual? And with our 5Ts, there are so many other things that we use. But with our 5Ts, we realize that one, we all have those five things. And we are borrowers of it because it belongs to God.
Right.
And so how do we steward those things in a way that's going to be impactful for how we then serve him, serve
Right.
his people, live our lives, fulfill our purpose and our mission? And
Right.
so we all have time. How are we going to really steward our time and do it well? Because not only do we have time on a day-to-day basis, we have time for how long we're going to be here on earth. So are we going to fulfill his mission and his purpose for our life? Which means we have to steward the time that we've been given properly. And we have to take advantage of the unique opportunity that he's putting in front of us for mission. Our talents, we all have talents. How are you putting those things on display? But then also, how do you not use them selfishly?
Yeah.
You are a steward of that. It belongs to him. He saw fit to give it to you. So what are you going to do with that? Your body, that's your temple. Like
That's
if you don't take care of your body, then you're not going to be able to properly do some of the other things. So how do you honor that? What
mhm.
does that look like? And so from there, we just started to build out, our testimony. We all have a testimony because, we grew up in the church. We didn't grow up exercising our faith effectively. And so in that, we had a huge encounter with the Lord. What does that testimony look like? And one of the things that I appreciate about our testimonies individually and collectively, because we weren't cookie cutter, and there's nothing wrong with people being cookie cutter. I hope my kids I don't want them to be fully cookie cutter, but being able to grasp and understand the Bible at such an early age where they're able to learn early how to apply those principles and not just check a box, because there's a difference between religion and relationship. And so in that, we're able to tell our story, and time again, you're able to see how God had to show up and how he had to intervene. But it took us a journey before we even had that encounter to say yes, because we were saying yes to religion. I don't want to say yes to religion. I need to say yes to relationship, because in that relationship, I'm trying to be more and more like you, which means the moment that I'm not meeting that mark, I need to be convicted. But my conviction needs to lead me to repentance. But how can I repent if I've never been convicted of the very things that are opposite from what God has called me to do? And so I think those are like all the different things that just kind of help us weave together the 5 T's, where it's like, this is how we live our life. This is how we're intentional about how we show up for each other, how we show up in our house, how we show up, if it's just us and God, how are we showing up? And then how do we create a model where we're able to teach that to other people? How do you focus on the whole being of yourself and not just focus on one thing?
That's right. It's so good. And I love exactly everything that you have in there. One of my favorites was to read testimony. And in your bio, you talk about being a storyteller. And isn't that our testimony, though, is our story?
Hmm.
Nobody can
Oh,
take
yeah.
that story away from me. And
Nobody.
is it Revelation 12? By the power of the blood and the word of testimony. My testimony is my testimony, how he healed me, how he saved me, how he delivered me. And I'm
Hmm.
not shoving religion on anyone, but I can speak
Hmm.
from conviction and from
Oh,
joy
yeah.
that Jesus is my answer. He's the reason why I don't have anxiety anymore. He's the reason why I can walk in my worthiness instead of
Yep.
shame and guilt, is the
Yeah.
power of the testimony, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I love
yeah.
everything about that. I love everything about what you're saying here, girl. It's so good. It's so rich. Okay, so let's talk though. Let's bring this to you. You guys have devoted dreamers, and you've
Yep.
had that for what? Did I see 2013?
Yes. So since 2013, we've been dreamers, and I'm sorry, this pod is just not going to let me be great today. But since 2013, we've had devoted dreamers, and we've tried to add to it as the years have progressed. We actually started as a summer camp, and we just started to find more and more ways that spoke to us individually and collectively again, to add to the umbrella of what we've done and how we serve and attempt to have lasting impact in the communities that we serve.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us, if somebody's never heard about Devoted Dreamers, tell us a little bit about what it is, where it is, and what you guys do, and maybe how they can get involved if they'd like to.
Absolutely. So the Devoted Dreamers Foundation was kind of founded on a lot of things that we believed heavily in, whether that was education, whether it was community impact, people having an encounter with the Lord, being able to be self advocates, lifelong learners, be coachable. And so we've developed like all sorts of programming around a lot of those different initiatives. We started initially in Mississippi, and now we do work in both New Orleans and Nashville, Tennessee. And our biggest goal is to impact the next generation of leaders. And with that, the next generation of leaders are obviously our youth, but we have to look beyond that, where there are young adults who are our next generation of leaders. There are adults who are still trying to figure things out in their lives, that are building their own testimony, that are our next generation of leaders. And so our next generation of leaders look so different, but how do we empower them and equip them to be able to dream big? And in their dreaming big, we always like to tell people, like, dreaming big isn't enough. You also have to have a devotion inside of you where you're devoting everything to that dream. And in that, helping them create a pathway to make their biggest dream a reality. But with that, you have to fuel and invest in people, because their own lived experience have shaped them one way or another. And some people just need a hand up. They need words of encouragement. They need programming. They need initiatives. So it looks different for each individual. And so as we continue to assess the communities that we're serving, we're like, okay, what does this community need specifically? And then how do we share all parts of what we attempt to do and then add new things at the same time?
I just love it. I love the holistic, the integrative approach to helping them fuel the flame inside them, but giving them the tools, the resources, because a dream, a dream without putting in the effort and the time and the energy and skilling up is never going to happen. It's going to sit dormant inside of you. So I just love
Yes.
that you guys have put this together. You're building the next generation. Like I'm just listening to you now, and it's fanning the flames of my 52-year-old dreaming self. It's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I just think this is so good. So where are you guys now with this? Tell us about the camps that you have for the children. Where are they? Where in what areas are those? Because they're in 3 different states. Is that right?
Yes. So 3 different states, and people can stay up to date on everything we have going on our social media, our Devoted Dreamers social media, our personal social media, also our website, devoteddreamers.org. But there are different times of the year that we're doing different initiatives. And there's also an approach where we take it and we customize certain packages, or we could come to you. And so it's not like we're just, sitting in one place and waiting for people to come to us. If you see something that we're doing, we're able to come to you. And so we have a summer camp that is at Mission First in Jackson, Mississippi that we do. We also have a spring program in Mississippi, and it's geared towards our Pearls for Girls initiative, where we're really trying to do a lot of character building, where girls understand that they are fearfully and wonderfully made, and that they can really dream and be polished and professional. And there's so many things that comes with that. We also do a career beyond sports model, because we work with a lot of young athletes. We want them to have exposure around understanding that there are so many careers around the game. And even if you don't make it as far as we've been able to be fortunate enough to go with the pro football career, you can still be associated with that profession doing something different. So there's sports media training, there's athletic trainers, there's all these different agents, financial advisors. So we do a lot around financial literacy. And so just creating programs where people are able to have occupational research around what careers keep them close to the game, while exploring something that's different than being actually on the field. We do a lot of initiatives with food pantries to really encourage people to understand that there are so many different food insecurities in so many different places. So how do we do work to provide? We also do another initiative in New Orleans called Dinner with the Davises, where we try to encourage family dining, which is something that we feel like has become obsolete in our culture, because everybody's so busy with activities and phones and social media and things of that nature. And so a lot of our unique experiences and conversations that have been guiding principles for our life happened around the dinner table. And so how do we encourage people to get back to the table, to get back to family time, even if it's one night a week, even if it's one meal a day, where you're able to have some intentionality around that. We do a lot of work around innovative education, where we're big on seeing, again, the whole person, where things should be individualized. So how do we advocate and create curriculums and programs that really see a child, what their strengths are, what their limitations are, and customize something that's going to help them thrive and not just survive. And so those are a few of the initiatives that we do on a year in, year out basis. And it's different times of the year, but if you stay, plugged into our socials, our website, you'll see when those things are happening, what cities they're happening in. But also there's opportunities, if there's something in one of our programs or curriculums that you see that you're interested in, we could bring that to you, to your church, to your community center, to the schools. We sometimes go into the public schools and teach some of these initiatives. So yeah.
Incredible. Incredible. It's so robust. That's it's like this theme of just hearing you talk about all of the things that you do, that you believe, your belief systems, your character. It's robust. It's beautiful. Well done, my friend. I mean, it's just very exciting. So you guys definitely
Thank
go
you.
check out their website if you're thinking, I want to get involved in that. Go to devoteddreamers.org, and there's a place where you can get involved. I'm actually going to go myself. I would love to learn more about getting involved. Even I think you've got some things close to my
Yeah.
backyard, so I would like to know more about that. You also so at the time of this recording, it's football, the F word, all the things, and you've got a tailgate. I think think it might be the 23rd of November. And there's a
Hmm.
food drive and a service project. And again, just this robust approach and integrative, this big approach to, hey, we can do this. Well, while we're doing this, let's go ahead and do this. And hey, while y'all are here, go ahead and let's bring this, and we can bring Thanksgiving meal to 50 or 60 or 100 people. I just love it. I love the way that God made you. I love the way God made you, Tamela.
Thank you. Thank you, God. Thank you.
That's right. He did a good job with you, girl. He did a good job with you.
With you too.
Okay. So as we're wrapping up here, tell us where we can find you on socials, your socials, also your podcast. I think Katie told me that you might be picking it back up before long. So tell us
Yep.
a little bit more about where we can connect with you all over the interwebs.
Absolutely. So you can connect with me on socials. It's Tamela Gill Davis. I'm on all the things. I'm even on TikTok now, which is something I'm still trying to figure out. But
Your time.
I'm on all the socials, Tamela Gill Davis. My website is www.thefword.us. You can go there. You'll find fun blogs, fun recipes. You can even book a life coaching session there. It directs you straight to my calendar. Devoted Dreamers, we have all of our socials, Devoted Dreamers Foundation, Devoted Dreamers Academy. You can find us there. Email Tamela Davis 56 at Gmail. So however you want to reach out, please don't hesitate to reach out. I love it.
You can take a picture there. Okay, yes, definitely connect with Tamela. Get involved with all that she's doing. I want to ask you this one final question. It's my mission. God put this mission on my heart. I used to be stuck in so much unworthiness and guilt and shame, and I just didn't think God would ever want to use somebody like me. So when I say what I'm about to say, it's a miracle.
Mm,
um, that God's called me to walk worthy of my calling, Ephesians
mm,
4:1, and powerfully use my voice to help others walk worthy. Tamil, what I want to ask you is how could you encourage the woman who doesn't know that she's created for purpose, that doesn't know that maybe she's more like me? She's stuck, like you've been this dreamer and just kind of catapulted from a young age to a stage and a podium and using your life for God's glory. What would you say to maybe the woman that can't even fathom what you've done and she doesn't think that that's for her, that's for people like you? What could you say
mm.
to encourage her?
Wow. That's a great question because I think a lot of times we have the tendency to look into other people's lives and we celebrate them and we see them worthy, and the more that we do that, we deem ourselves unworthy. And that happens through all seasons and phases of life. And so, even for people who are where I am, where people like to see, we still get to super successful places and feel like we're not worthy. And so I don't want anybody to feel like isolated and alone, to feel like at some point I'll never feel like I'm not worthy, because one, it's a scheme of the enemy and he knows that that's something that he can do to get you off course. He's going to circle back with it. It may look slightly different, but he's going to keep circling back with it over and over and over again. And so, one of the things that really helped me when I went through a season of feeling like I was unworthy, I found scripture. And then as I found those scriptures, I created words of affirmation because he said I'm worthy. The world doesn't get to tell me whether I'm worthy or not. The world doesn't get to tell me whether my story is valid or not. The world doesn't get to tell me whether my story is worth hearing or not, because God created me and he makes no mistakes. And so when he decided to place me in my mother's womb, he said that I was worthy. He said that I was worthy to be here. He would say that I was worthy to love him and to honor him and to serve him. He said that he had a purpose and a plan specifically for my life and how he wanted to use me. So what he needs is for you to say yes, for you to affirm yourself and say, you know what? The enemy and other people are trying to make me feel like I'm unworthy, but I woke up this morning. I can check my pulse and I'm still here, which means I still have breath, which means I still have purpose, which means I still belong to him. So I have to say yes to him. And as I say yes to him, I can say, yes, I am worthy. And then I can ask him to lead me and to guide me and to show me the way that he desires to use me that is unique to me, because nobody else gets to do what he has called me to do, because the audience may look different. Sometimes we look at things and we're like, we're not worthy because somebody else is doing that. So what? They can't speak to the same people that you can speak to with your story, with your testimony, with the things that you've had to journey through. They're not at the same office that you're at. They're not at the same church you're at. They're not serving the same group of kids you are. And so don't deem yourself more unworthy or more worthy than another person, because we all have a different assignment. But going back to those words of affirmation, I remember at one point I could barely see how to brush my teeth because I had that many sticky notes on my mirror reminding me of who God said that I was, and to remind myself that I am worthy, even when the noise outside is louder than my own voice telling me that I'm not. And what we have to do is to find a way to fall flat on our knees and our face before the Lord and give that to Him. Lord, I feel like I am unworthy, but meet me exactly where I am and help me to see that I am worthy because you said that I was worthy. Cancel out all the noise, Lord, that is louder than your voice. Cancel out my voice when it becomes louder than yours, Lord. And I think those are things that starts to be guiding principles to get you out of the darkness, to get you into the light, so that you are able to remind yourself of who you are, but more importantly, whose you are.
That's right. Come on. That's so good. That's so beautiful. In fact, I've got an identity statement that just, and I told Katie I'm going to send you a planner. I'm writing a planner.
Yay.
I mean,
I
we are
love
on
planners.
it, and every single day it asks, "Who is God to you? Who do you say, and who are you?" And it just is all about identity, and it's rehearsing it though. It's practicing it. It's saying it over and
Hmm.
over and over again, because whatever we're rehearsing, we're becoming. And so if I'm telling
That's it.
myself all the time, I'm just not good enough, I'll never make it, and I'll never amount to anything. Yes, you're right. It's true.
Hmm.
As a man
Yep.
speaks, and so he thinks.
And so,
It is.
yes,
Speak the
yes,
power of words, of life and death over your life. I didn't
that's
realize
it.
what the death I was speaking over myself,
Hmm.
thoughts. And so many people have thoughts they're on, they're not even conscious of what they're
Yep.
thinking and how they're and who they are becoming. So what she said to all of us is, if you got a pulse, there's a purpose.
There's a purpose.
Go and keep
Go.
that identity, working on your rehearsing your identity. I'll put that link. I've got a free identity statement. Listen, print it out. I keep it in my Bible. I go back to it every day. I'm like, God, I
Bring
don't
it out.
like this, but this is what
Hmm.
you say that I am. Yeah.
Yes. And I think that's important, because sometimes we think because we don't think it, we don't believe it, and then it makes us not say it. But even sometimes saying things that you don't even believe, good things now, not bad things, but when you're looking like, God, I feel unworthy, but I am worthy. You may not believe it the moment you say it,
That's
but
right.
if you keep planting it and you keep planting it over and over again, at some point you're going, because you're combating the enemy and what he's trying to pull you, because he wants you to feel like you're not worthy.
Yeah,
He doesn't want you to be used by God, because he wants you to be used by him.
you
And
want
so in that, you don't want to be discipling people to come down that path with you of feeling unworthy, unseen, unwanted, like they don't have a purpose, they don't have a plan, because God put you here, but he gives you a choice too. And
that's right.
so in that choice, you have to choose him. And in choosing him, you're choosing his way, which means you are so full of purpose and you are so worthy. And the more you say it, even if you don't believe it, like tell God, God, I don't believe this, but I want to believe it. Help me to believe it. Let him do the work. Let him do the work.
That's right. That's so good. That's so good. Okay. I appreciate your time. You are one busy woman. You're probably about to like do a photo shoot and go back out of town, go over to and homeschool the kids all while you're like making
Ah,
or something.
all the things, all the things. I got myself out of snack duty today because I bought donuts on my way home. So
Oh, you made 6 happy children though.
lots of sugar rushes. I'll have to calm down later, but
Oh my goodness. Well, I appreciate you so much being here. You guys, thank you for listening. And would you do us a favor? If you found value in this podcast, would you share it with your friends? Maybe even shoot it up to your stories. Tag us both. We'll repost you and
Absolutely.
share the love. But anyway, Tamela, God bless you. So excited to be connected with
God
you
bless
and do
you.
good things with you, girlfriend. We're supposed to be connected. I just know that. So
Yes.
yes, yes, yes. And you guys go follow her, just follow the Davises and all of the good stuff that they're doing. And this was such a rich time. So thank you, my dear friend. All right, you guys, have a great week and we'll be back next time. Okay, bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Girlfriend, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I'm so honored you come back every week and that you share the Fit Soul podcast with your friends and family. Every time you share my podcast on Instagram or Facebook, I do a little happy dance. Make sure you subscribe to the Fit Soul podcast where you'll never miss an episode. You can go to Podcast, Apple, Stitcher, and Spotify and subscribe so you'll never miss an episode release. And just know, I truly love bringing you excellent content and great guests to provide you motivation and faith inspiration to help you walk worthy. And one of the ways you can help me is to go and leave the Fit Soul podcast a review. If you have just a moment, would you please go over and leave a review for the Fit Soul podcast? Thank you again. I love you. And here is your reminder. You are worthy. Until next time. Bye-bye.